Good afternoon. I wanted to get on here and talk a little bit about anxiety and a factor in anxiety that sometimes gets missed. So I have a client and she came in recently. She has a home frequency specific microcurrent unit and she wanted to come in and revisit all of her protocols and adjust them. Because this is a highly personalized device. The more I get to work with somebody and figure out the individual protocols that they need, the better. So highly personalized, always the way to go in any kind of treatment. Anyway, she came in, she had COVID a couple months ago and was having a really hard time post-COVID, like many people do. And one of the symptoms that she had not connected with COVID, that is connected with COVID for many people, is her anxiety was increasing to the point where she told me she had cried all the way to the office in the car. And so I dug into that a little bit more, like, why were you afraid of getting into a wreck? Did you feel out of control? And she said, no. She said, just the visual experience of driving was so overwhelming and scary, she began to cry. And so then I said, what is it like for you to go into like Costco? And she said, you know, that's really interesting because I used to love to go to Costco and now I can't stand to be in Costco because I feel so anxious. So I immediately handed her a form called a brain injury visual symptom checklist. And she filled that out and she tested very high on that. So I sent her to Brandon Wally, who is a neurological optometrist in Collierville. He's a great guy. And he does some vision therapies. So she has a vestibular injury, probably from COVID, because we're seeing COVID is creating brain injuries. Daniel Amen just put out an article recently about all the brain problems that they're seeing post-COVID. So all that to say, if you know somebody who's experiencing anxiety that is related to their visual system, like if it's scary to be driving a car, or if they go into a Costco or a Walmart and they're just so overwhelmed and anxious, that could potentially be the sign of a vestibular injury. And they can get a vision therapy to help with that. We also help with that with neurofeedback. So wanted to educate people a little bit about this because this young woman had been to multiple doctors, functional doctors, psychiatrists, endocrinologists, and nobody had picked up on that. Everybody was just telling her she needed to be on psychiatric meds, and she doesn't need to be on psychiatric meds. She needed somebody to listen to her long enough to figure out what was going on. And she texted me today and said the vision therapy is helping so much. So there's always a bunch of pieces to the puzzle. It's never just one thing. So do your research and be your best health advocate. And if you're curious to know more about this vestibular injury, brain visual system issue, and you think you might have it or somebody that you know, reach out to me and I'll send you one of those checklists and you can at least get a rudimentary assessment of whether they may or may not have that. And you can also look for a good neurological optometrist or ophthalmologist. So, hope you have a good day and are not feeling anxious. Take care.